Hey, Club Random fans, guess what I did? I wrote a damn book. It's called What This Comedian Said Will Shock You, and it's available for pre-order now where you get your books or at simonandschuster.com. You were at Woodstock.
Yeah, they called me and I said, all right, but it's got to be the prime spot.
You went on at 3 a.m.
Yep.
Club Random.
When did it end?
When I met my beautiful wife, Julie. Probably the moment I laid eyes on her, actually.
Club Random.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm just
Good to
thrilled
meet
to meet you.
Nice shirt.
I wore it for you.
Oh, thank you.
I swear to God. I was thinking, like Jerry on his coffee show, he picks out a car for people. That's the show. He thinks of a car that would be appropriate. I think, well, sometimes I do that with the clothes. I was like, this is my John Fogerty shirt.
That works.
Because it's real American, but there's a little glitz to it. It's got a little sparkle there, as I always thought you did. I mean, in a good way. And totally not a gay way.
Right. My wife is the one responsible for the shirts. She makes the shirts, right?
But I feel like you always had that look.
And, well, thank you. Yeah, going way back, but you can't get those anymore.
I mean, and your accent, was very middle of the country, shall we say? I mean, I always thought, as a kid, when I was worshiping all those singles coming on the radio, my little tinny radio that you did this kind of songs the Beatles used to say, has to sound good even on a shitty radio. And all your songs were in that category.
Thank you for that. I actually tried to make the songs so they would sound good in a car. And that was
even harder.
Well, my take on it was because there were certain songs, growing up that were fantastic in a car. And basically the car, you want to hear the voice, you want to hear the guitar, and you want to hear the beat, the drum, in other words. And that's about all you need in a car. That fills it all up.
Well,
the other stuff is sort of in the background.
No, you need a good song.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the sonic version, the sound quality.
Now, it's impossible to say why you like a song or not. I find that. I mean, I do either.
Oh, no, I'm pretty opinionated.
No, I am too. I'm just saying to put into words. You could play me Proud Mary or any one of your great songs, and then a song that sounds, if you were just describing it, you couldn't tell the difference. Great guitar, blah, 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 but one works and one doesn't. One just works and one doesn't. I mean, sorry, all the 2 million people putting out music on Spotify, and they all say, why we're not getting equal play? Yeah, because you suck. Because we are the consumer, we're going to go toward the super talented, great music, and I can hear it immediately, but I couldn't tell it to somebody.
You just said it. It sucks.
I know. It's you can't say, we all know what a supermodel looks like. And we know what a very, there's no ugly people in the world. Let me get that out very clear.
Oh boy, PC.
But I'm okay, so describe it between a supermodel and some other woman who's attractive but just not a supermodel. You can't put it into words. It's not
Well, you can, but that may not.
Go ahead.
Translate. You're so funny because when I was around 11 or 12, my brother Tom, who was older than me, and he'd already he'd been with a couple of different bands that he knew. He was in another orbit.
So Tom is older than you?
Yeah, about 4 years older.
So you're like the Smothers Brothers, where the younger one was the leader.
Shh. Oh my God, you've just opened a whole...
Right? You know the Smothers Brothers?
Yeah, of course.
He just died. I know him.
Tom, yeah.
I know him not really well, but pretty well. And
I don't think we met, but he sent me a couple letters back in the day.
That's up in they were up in the northern part of the state, Tom and Dick.
I didn't know that. They were TV people to me.
Right.
But Tom especially was rebellious and liberal.
But he was also the talent. Not that Dickie wasn't good, but Dickie was a straight man. Tommy was the guy who, he was the leader of that show. I mean, that's why the show got canceled, because Tommy was a revolutionary. He was a rebel. He was not going to be stopped, and he was not going to be, at a certain point, abided by CBS.
When Pete Seeger came on TV, wasn't it on their show?
Everybody who was on the wrong side.
Yeah. But there was a moment there when Pete came on and sang Big Muddy, I'm pretty sure. And that was...
Well, they were
people taking offense to... we was talking about the Vietnam War.
Criticizing the Vietnam War when that was still controversial. And of course, this is Sunday night.
It was controversial,
I believe,
controversial until we left. And that last helicopter got pushed off the aircraft carrier. I mean, that was never stopped being controversial.
In the sense, you mean that there are people today who think we absolutely should have fought the war, the Vietnam War. I mean, there are still people who think that. I am more sympathetic to the...
How did we get here? Boy, it didn't take long, did it?
Why? Why? What are you saying? It always comes back to Vietnam?
No, but,
No.
There was an Iraq war. I'm sorry, I got to go here. There was a war in Iraq, and I wrote a song called Deja Vu. And
Yeah, I know it. I've heard it.
I was just, I was flown to New York. I was going to do it on Good Morning America. And suddenly, we're probably in the afternoon the day before, they're pushing back. So, you can't sing that song, right? Iraq, Vietnam.
I get it.
Yeah. And so...
Sleepless Nights, that song? Is that about that?
No, it's a song I wrote. It's a song I recorded about 2004.
So go back to Iraq, though. So you're saying...
And I was about to be on, and the show was saying, he can't come on and sing that song.
Oh, wow.
And so, I'm not going to come on and sing something else. That was the whole what we're doing. So finally, they thought about it for a few hours and decided that they didn't want to... Look, I can't read people's minds, but it just seemed like if you make such a big stink, you're actually making it worse than just doing it.
Of course.
Right?
They always do that.
And so,
yeah,
you get up very early in the morning to go do those morning shows. And Charlie Gibson, he was not happy that I was there because he was supporting, in the fine tradition of people who think they're supporting the flag and all that kind of stuff. We're all Americans, right? Not just the ones who wave the flag all the time. Yeah. So he was very unhappy, and he made it a point to he was really trying to embarrass me with questions and making it look like I was a lazy, rock and roll privileged, overpaid, musician, and he's probably right, but
yeah.
I had a little pushback, and I think we came out even, but he was really unhappy that I was there. And, since he owned the show, he was the dude, he got to say a few things that without the other side retorting. At the end of the deal, though, we're all standing watching through that window or something, he comes over and kind of, I don't know. I felt okay about it. He shook my hand, and I accept that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to embarrass me on camera.
But did you...
Because I wrote a song that kind of was kicking the can about this war we were getting into. So is that war okay now,
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I have a clear memory, but I know that the mind, my phrase is, the mind moves the furniture. Like, over the years, you can swear that you remember, but I have a clear memory of seeing you sing Fortunate Son on Ed Sullivan.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
No, I'm pretty sure
You sang
that
it
happened.
on Ed Sullivan.
Sure.
Right. Okay, well, that to me, I was 14. This would be 1970.
Yeah.
Yes. 14, just thinking about the stuff, adults think you want to be an adult. So and of course these were times, very politically explosive times. So that band, singing that song on Ed Sullivan, that was not quite Smothers Brothers territory, but I don't think that's what Ed would have mostly wanted. I mean, that was a show for everybody, Sunday night. And this is a very
Yeah,
corrosive, America sucks in this manner song,
Yeah.
which is not really what you got in 1970 on Sunday night.
Yeah, somehow.
You don't have any memory of that?
We
Nobody
were
gave
on
you shit
the
about
band,
it.
Creedence
Ed didn't
Clearwater
come backstage and go,
was on 3
why don't you
times.
sing that song about the Proud Mary? That's
Tonight,
more uplifting,
right here
John.
on our show,
With the
for
fortunate-
you little chickadees, the Beatles.
Or-
Yeah, right.
What is this rummage sale that you're
Exactly.
talking about? This is a family show. We don't want the.
Well, I think that's generally true, but I think, and so also Ed's producers, I think his son-in-law was the actual producer of the show, who I met, and was they were just into
What
entertainment.
about after the show? There was no outcry. There was no, why are you having that subversive message?
I think
you're
it's before we
It
had,
was so-
TikTok and all that sort of thing.
right.
So the outcry would have been all of the old people, not the young people.
But there's a song that came out last year that was a giant hit. I'm sure you know it. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was not a professional musician. I think it was Oliver Anthony, maybe is the name. He was like just a regular guy. He put it on TikTok. It was called Rich Men North of Richmond.
Yeah,
You know that song.
yeah,
It was a giant sensation.
yeah.
That to me is very similar. That the feel of that fortunate son, I'm not the fortunate one. I'm not the fortunate
Right.
son. We're living here in just getting by America. And these Northmen, they tried to make it a racist thing. I don't think it was. Richmond, north of Richmond, he means Washington, D.C. He
Of
means the
course,
government.
or New York even,
Yes, maybe, but I think he meant the government. North of Richmond is Washington.
right?
Okay, so, but I feel like there is a strong spiritual connection between the lyrics of Fortunate Son. The house, when the tax man come, the house looks like a rummage sale, but they're spending money. And that whole working class thing, I feel like was recapitulated a lot in the Oliver Anthony song. You know the song?
I don't know it
that-
intimately. I just know the furor that it caused.
Well, it was just
And perhaps other folks, appropriated the song for their intentions
Of
rather than
course.
what the.
Of course they did, because that's all we do in America is appropriate everything for your cause or your intentions.
Look.
Exactly. There's no honest.
President Trump, while he still was president, was campaigning, and at the end of his rally, as he got into the jet and flew away, he was playing Fortunate Son.
It's a great song,
And you kind of go, I mean, that's a jaw dropper, isn't it? Because had I been able to, I would have written the song about him. But of course, I was 50 years ahead of that.
You're saying he doesn't quite see the irony.
Oh, you've asked another question, and I'm
Well, you know what it is.
without getting really whatever. I wonder about that. That's the best I can say. I don't know that he
But-
does or that he doesn't. I think there's some things that are instinct. I'm capable of that myself, by the way. Later people tell you, hey man, that was so shrewd. And you're going, what? Because you just were, it
Right.
comes from inside, whatever that
Right.
art is or that moment, right?
Right.
And I think in the case of Trump using different songs, I think I like that song. I'm going to play it here, and it,
Of course, he doesn't
Yeah.
think about anything.
yeah.
People always overestimating him. Really overestimating. I understand he's very successful in this quest he has to overturn the government, but there's never any planning in it. It's just he fumbles forward constantly. He's just you can't take your eyes off him because he's insane. Insanity photographs, and that's but whenever they
Well-
ascribe to him any sort of planning or any sort of scheming, it's like
I think it's day to day.
it's just exactly. It's just reacting. It's pure id, and We'll see how it comes out. But
You know what? You mentioned my shirt,
Yeah.
and I brought you a gift. My wife makes these shirts. Her company, our company,
Oh.
is called Fortunate Son,
of course.
and
Thank you.
she
Oh, look.
has several
Yeah.
different plaid designs.
Oh, I like it.
That one's a really pretty one. I like this
So,
color.
so you are in the schmata business now?
Smata?
I love it. You don't know anything about the Jews, do you? I'm not even Jewish. Schmata is like that's like the
Clothing or-
rag industry,
Right.
That I think
how
like
how it really came about is that I couldn't find, going to the store. There are Western shirts, but not many, especially at that time, about 15 years ago, I think, a plaid shirt, particularly just this.
right.
And for this one, she took an old photo of me, at 24 or something. I had an acoustic guitar on. And I said, yeah, I used to wear that shirt all the time. And luckily it was in color. And so she got it duplicated, and I get to wear that shirt now, which I lost, 50 years ago.
Boy, you aged well. It is interesting when you have the rock star gene that you're sort of given these other things. Like Mick Jagger, he's like
Incredible.
89 years old or something, and he has a 22-inch waist.
Yeah.
I mean, and he always did, and he always will, and he'll never die because he is the devil. and
Actually, it's Keith.
yeah, but a charming one.
I think Mick takes care of himself pretty.
He does. I'm kidding. Of course.
Yeah, but Keith doesn't. So,
And yet
Keith is sitting there going, look at that guy, he's
Right.
working out. I think it's what Canseco said on the A's. He said, you guys I just take steroids. Ha!
So, but Keith Richards did clean up his act.
Did he?
Yes, recently. I'm pretty sure I read that. I think including smoking, which
Really?
yeah, I think so.
I
think
don't
so.
smoke, but I did a long time
So
ago.
did I. Oh,
Of course I'm happy, but really I want to feign disappointment. It's like, Keith, oh man.
if you want to go to an NBA playoff basketball game or a summer concert, you have to be smart about getting the best seats in the house. You either have season tickets or know some rich guy who will take you. When you want the best, you have to act quickly, or someone else will get it instead. It's like that if you're hiring for your business. You want to find the most talented people for your open roles before the competition scoops them up. So what's the best way to do that? ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds qualified candidates fast. And right now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/random. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology takes center stage to identify top talent for your roles. Immediately after you post your job, ZipRecruiter's smart technology starts showing you qualified people for it. Amp up your hiring performance with ZipRecruiter and find the best candidates fast. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Just go to this exclusive web address right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/random. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/random. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Back when I used to go out drinking, and boy did I, the next day I always wished I hadn't. But that was before a new product that lets you feel fresh after a night of hitting the town. Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best the next day. Between vacations, weddings, birthdays, and reunions, there's so much going on. Get the most out of your spring plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/random to get 15% off your first order when you use random at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/random and use the code RANDOM at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. Oh my God. When people ask you that question, like, what's the first concert you ever saw?
Concert, yeah.
You know what mine was? You.
Really?
Not just you. There was something called the Concert for Peace at Shea Stadium. Do you remember doing it?
Yeah.
You were on it.
Yeah.
It was like 20, I don't know.
Sha-na-na was there.
Sha-na-na was definitely there. You do remember.
Yeah, but
Oh,
Paul
wow.
Simon was there, because I remember talking to him about early rock and roll, especially Ooby Dooby, which he liked. I had just covered that. But, God, there was a ton of people there.
Right.
Bunch of Janis Joplin was there. 'Cause I remember I came off stage. I was walking back.
Wow.
You know, it was a stadium,
No.
Shea Stadium. Right?
Shea Stadium. I went
And
with
she
my
was sitting up on the, it was so blurry, and I was a kid. You know,
I
mean,
went
this
with
was
my sister.
a train going so fast, right? And I walked by these stairs, and I went, "Hey, that was Janis Joplin," and she was kind of sitting on it like this. I don't think she had a bottle of, hooch in her hand, but you'd heard all those stories. I mean, in a nanosecond, I processed that, kind of
Wow.
walked backwards. I looked up, and she hadn't moved. She was still like that, and I kind of went, and because it was a
Yeah.
character. It was almost like shtick, and she
Right.
just this tiniest little. That
Right.
she understood what I was doing because she hadn't moved, right?
Wow.
Sure, a lot of folks were.
Wow.
That was cool.
Was that 69 or 70? Or
I think it was 70.
Okay. Right. I was probably 14. Listen to this. I went to this concert with my sister in a Nehru jacket.
Yeah, sure.
A Nehru jacket.
Sure.
Do you remember the Nehru jacket?
Yep.
Nehru was for the kids. Kids, God, who remembers this? Nehru I was even not around for this. He was the first prime minister of India. And he wore this cool fucking jacket with like this little, it almost looked like a priest's thing, but not with the white collar underneath. And it was
the real person
it was really cut.
wore that. Yeah.
A real person wore that. And then for some reason, of course, it was the late 60s. We're all hippies. It became like a thing. And they got me one. Like, I never got clothes. For one Christmas. Like, I guess I was when I was 14.
Yeah, but that was a very symbolic, I believe, if you trace it, it probably started with the Beatles going to India. Right?
Yes.
And then
probably right.
So things
Yes.
happened. I mean, eventually
Exactly.
you were seeing people on Laugh-In, with Nehru jackets on, right?
Right. Right.
Good night, Dick. Good night. Whatever. And that was all the thing. And then medallions and all the rest. By the time that started to happen, that's when the kids probably dropped it.
Yeah, but it was not a smart thing to wear on a hot August night. It was not. I should have worn a T-shirt. What am I going to be, James Bond at 14? I'm wearing this.
I think it's sweet. I think because it's so.
Yeah, it is.
It's a snapshot in time.
It is.
I mean, they never came back.
But I think you headlined.
Probably
I think
so.
CCR was the headline act.
Yep.
I mean, I can't imagine a bigger band at the time. Not in America, obviously the Beatles, but maybe the Stones. But as far as American bands, this is before the Eagles.
Yep.
A little bit before the Eagles. Led Zeppelin they started in '69.
They started about the same time as Proud Mary.
Yeah.
Right. So we'd already had '68, a hit and a half a hit. Susie Q and I put
I
a
call that
spell
the
on you.
starter hit.
Yeah.
Like the Beatles had Love Me Do. It's a starter hit.
Right.
It's not my favorite. I'm
Right.
sorry, neither is Susie Q.
Yeah.
You got so many dozens more, but you were young.
Yeah.
And people liked it, so great. And you had your hit. But I mean, where you grew from there was like leaps and bounds. Just to Proud Mary. And then Long As I Can See the Light and, Who'll Stop the Rain, all those songs that are just, you made that leap from just having the kids like you to making an adult like me, super adult, like you. you know, that's something a lot of pop stars don't do. You know, those were much more. You were a grown ass man, a little bit more. And
Well, I've always thought. Of course, I didn't know any of this then.
that I'm telling you.
But there's that thing when you're a kid and you discover a new band, new artists. It happened, I think, more with bands, and they make a record, as you call it, the starter hit, you know, and then maybe they go along with a couple of those. They've caught your attention, and they're pretty cool, right?
Right.
And then they're going along, and suddenly they do "Hey Jude," or they do "Satisfaction." You know,
Well-
it's a leap up, right? And
Well-
because you'd already liked them, and they were pretty cool. Beach Boys,
Well,
you know, and suddenly the
gotta-
Beach Boys
I got to
do.
stop you. For,
Okay.
Okay. Hey Jude and Satisfaction came at very different points of those two careers. Satisfaction came at fairly the beginning. That was 1965. Again, they had
Well, I knew the Stones pretty well by then.
the Stone.
I'd already seen them a
they
couple
started in
times.
'62. They had a starter hit with a Lennon and McCartney song, "I Want to Be Your Man."
Yeah, I didn't really know
Exactly,
about it. Yeah.
starter hit.
Yeah.
Not that good.
Yeah.
They did "Carol." I think they covered a Chuck Berry song.
I think that was their first.
Oh, by the way,
record.
I had this argument with someone before the show. "Brown-Eyed Handsome Man."
Yeah,
That's Chuck Berry. When you're citing him in that song.
yeah,
I knew it.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, because he wrote in
called
Brown
it-
Eye Handsome Man,
Yes,
there's
he
several different verses.
Called himself that and had a song called that.
Right, but the different verses sort of, and this was Chuck Berry's genius. It's one song, but he's got 7 stories in there. One of them was about a woman walking across the sand. What is that? Flying across the desert in a TWA. I saw a woman walking across the sand. Right? You look down from your jet from 35,000 feet. I see a woman walking across the sand. She'd been walking 30 miles
Well-
en route to Bombay to meet
Okay.
a brown-eyed handsome man.
Chuck either saw you from 30,000 feet or through the peephole in the bathroom. Okay, I mean he had some issues. So
I'm sorry that human beings
let's just-
are so effed up.
let's just say
But-
spatially he was all over the map.
Right. But anyway, in this song, 2-3 the count, with nobody on, he hit a high fly into the stand. Round in third, he was headed for home. It was a brown-eyed handsome man that won the game. It was a brown-eyed handsome man. I mean, because I love baseball anyway. But that was only one of many stories in that same song. Incredible.
I heard that they play center field on a loop at the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York.
Awesome. Wow. I got to go there.
Not for the security guard.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying.
I was fortunate enough to be invited to, they had a 50-year Hall of Fame ceremony in '89, and I got to go there and, act like, hang out with baseball players. It was pretty cool. And then at some point they inducted the song Center Field
Yeah.
into the Hall of, I mean, I
And your
grew up
team-
really loving baseball.
And the Giants, the San Francisco Giants.
Giants were first, but
That's-
before that was the Yankees, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I was a little kid.
Me too.
3-4 years old. My dad, there were no teams out here,
Really? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so baseball was a mythical thing. So my dad would talk about Babe Ruth.
So you're talking about the 50s.
And
Because
this was probably 1948, 49.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow. You look great. What are you, 80 now?
gonna be.
Fucking wow, that's great for me to know. Because I mean, like I don't as you get older and older, you meet less and less people older than you. So it's good to know when you meet one that like, oh wow, that's a good thing to shoot for. I mean, you don't advertise 80 at all. At all. So that's
I don't think about it. I probably think about it
No, but some
more
people
than
have
I used to.
Look, you're
but
almost the same age as Biden, but I mean, you just don't, like, some people project age and some don't. This is the problem with Trump. he could be a million and he's just this brand. You know, it doesn't, their age doesn't matter. It's the shock of yellow at the top, the red tie. It's like McDonald's, red and yellow. You know, you just see this thing, this brand. It could be a million years old.
Well, if you wear dark glasses, a hat, and you have a beard, you're going to look the same at 90 that you did at 24.
Yeah, but who wants to do that?
Well, exactly. But, I mean, I'm just saying, you know.
But anyway,
Wow.
back to Hey Jude and Satisfaction.
Well, all I meant was there's a.
No. I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
Satisfaction was
It's
1960.
your show.
No. Satisfaction was 1965. It was the Stones' first like mega hit like that. That's what you're talking about. Hey Jude was 1968. We had already had Beatlemania. We had already had Sgt. Pepper. They were coming to the end. They had like another. Basically,
Oh, I didn't think so. At that moment, I didn't.
No, at that moment you didn't. But I'm saying, Hey Jude didn't make people go, "Whoa, the Beatles are good." That had happened.
I agree with that because that was the point I was trying to
Whereas
make.
with the Stones, Satisfaction was like, I mean, I was 9. I wasn't into music yet, but I know from the history and their greatest hits album, that was their big breakthrough hit. Before that, it was good, but I can't remember a song before that from the Stones. Was like,
Oh, they had
Ruby-
Tell Me. They had.
Tell Me, don't even know that.
That's the first album.
Yeah, I don't think that was like.
God, that was really great.
giant-
It was one of their originals, even though that first album was a lot of blues.
Well, you're fucking old, so you know this shit. I don't.
Well, I
No,
had the first
kidding.
album, and I thought the Stones were incredible. I'd already seen them a couple of times. But all the point I was trying to make, and I think your Sgt. Pepper example is way better than what I said. But God, if I could think of some other bands like that, where they're a certain way that you've accepted, and then suddenly they do something really magnificent, and you go,
They raised,
"Whoa, did they dare to do that?" And you realize that that's where they are.
Well, Cosmos, you know, is one of those albums that like
Thank
there's
you for that.
probably only, I mean, like I've been collecting music, like into music since around exactly that time. That was really my first big year. I was 13 in 69. My first book, and it hit you. You hit puberty, music gets in you. Before that, it was Little League, you know, and it wasn't girls. Now it was girls and music. They go together.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a very long time. And like, are there 50, maybe 100 at most albums where like all the songs are good? Because usually albums was like, sometimes it was one song, and then you were like, oh, thanks, The American Breed. Yeah, I like Bend Me, Shake Me, but the rest of this sucks.
Now, see, had they done that other thing where...
I just want to say, I hope none of the members of the American Breed are offended by that. But come on, guys. How many people even know what the fuck I'm talking about? But you might. You remember Bend Me, Shake Me?
Sure, of course. Remember the song.
I like. Right, only that one. And I had the album. And it bugs me to this day. My point is, like, every song was a winner.
Right.
You know, there are some songs like that. The Beatles did it.
Of course. Well,
But not always. There's some shitty Beatles songs.
Yeah, but, you know, that's like seeing, I don't know, getting obsessed with the birthmark on the beautiful woman that's Miss America or
That
whatever.
is exactly
you know?
what I would do.
Yeah.
In a bad way.
Yeah. You just,
But
you know, music producers, I'm sure film, same thing. You music producer, oh, hear that? Oh my God. You know, and here's this magnificent thing and one little, and oh, we got to do it over. Because of, you know, in the old days, you just go, are you kidding? Just leave it.
you know, I often thought you could put out an album called The Worst of the Beatles and it would go to #1. And you could pick like,
Bill, you are opinionated. You
you
know
could
that?
pick like and I'm the biggest Beatle fan in the world, but
too.
but there are, I Don't Like Love Me Do.
I appreciate it. It's like, but I know
appreciate it is different.
but it was not going to
Be
make
in
a
my
career
playlist.
on its own. It sort of got reversed.
They were children when
It got pulled
wrote
along
it.
because of what
Yes.
happened later.
I mean, just the lyrics are embarrassing because you're a child. I don't want to listen to children's music, especially when they made 250 better songs. But
You would probably say that about Do You Want to Know a Secret?
no,
as
that
well.
I mean that's not the greatest. But I love George's accent, and it's. I mean, it's just there's something charming.
You know, the thing that you almost said, though, I don't think you could make a 12-song LP out of bad Beatles songs. I don't think there's that many.
Oh, I do. 12, yeah. 12 that I really don't. I don't need to hear Honey Don't. I love Ringo.
Oh, my God.
Really?
Well, Honey Don't is George.
No, that's Ringo.
No, that's George.
Want to bet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always thought it
I'll
was.
punch you in the dick if I'm right, and you get to.
You're probably right. It's just that I stood next to George doing that song.
I could be
and
wrong.
I kind of went, oh, is that George?
Anyway, whoever it is, it's not them. It's not their fault. I just don't like the song.
Yeah. Oh, see, that was one of the top ones
The
for
Beatles
me.
did 18 top. Honey Don't.
Yep.
Oh, Honey Don't.
When you probably don't know this, but Carl Perkins played that song and
Yeah,
wrote
they
it. It was
love
the
Carl.
other side of Blue Suede Shoes.
So what? I mean,
No. Well,
I'm not that. I mean, Blue Suede Shoes is another one where, okay,
trying to
it's a
think of
little
one.
better than a few of
do
these.
you know the song Mystery Train by Elvis?
I certainly know of it, and I'm sure I've heard it, but I can't recall it. But
Okay.
I think it's probably one of the. If I don't know it, means, and I'm a huge Elvis fan, huge,
Right.
huge. If it's not. If I don't know it, it means I heard it because I've tried to get everything he ever did,
Yeah.
and I did not put it in my iPod in my collection.
Unfortunately, they reprocessed Elvis's early stuff, and it existed that way from 1970 or so. Actually, I'm going to say it was 69. 69 until somewhere in the late 80s, RCA went,
Look at
oops.
this. Look over there. Who's that?
There you go, yeah.
That's
Well,
that's from an album.
That's Elvis from Vegas.
A lot of these things around this room I saved from when I was a kid when they came in LPs. This one, look at Prince.
Was that a poster in an LP?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And I don't think you guys ever put a poster in an album.
Not a poster.
And it's been burning me up ever since. That's why I wanted you over here so I could finally get you in this chair and say, fuck you, John Fogerty, for not giving me a poster.
Well, of course, it wasn't my call.
I'm fucking with you.
You know, it's like the guy with the cigar. Well, I own all your songs, and I'm not going to give you a poster either. I said, okay.
Well, I wasn't going to bring...
Speaking of that guy,
I want to...
I'll just say that, I had to sit and listen to certain platitudes of wisdom from an older person in the record biz who owned the label that Creedence was on. But I did go in once, and I said, they're starting, it was at this time around 1969, they were starting to promote, it was before K-Tel Records, if you've ever heard of that.
Of course.
Okay. It's before that, and they were selling like polka records, things like that, on TV.
Okay.
There was, somebody, and you also get, let that roll out the barrel, and
Lawrence
the idea
Welk,
struck me. I said, wow, they're advertising music on TV. I said, that would be a great thing. And I went in and had a meeting with the owner of Fantasy, and I said, explained it just what I said to you. Said, I think it would be great if you, advertised Creedence on television. Maybe had some kind of special or something where you get, I probably said, where you get 2 albums for the price of 1.5 or something if you do it on. And he said, people who watch television don't buy records.
Yes, we do.
I just looked at him. I went,
say we do.
What?
Right.
Well, that was the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Especially since in that era, 100% of people watch television. So I'm guessing...
And there were only 3 channels, so...
I'm guessing a segment of that also listened to music.
Yes.
But you brought this up, but I've always been curious about this. Ted Williams.
Yeah.
You do know him?
Didn't know him,
Okay,
but...
all right.
Gee.
But, could have held every record in baseball, but he went into the service for World War II, lost like his best 4 years.
Right.
Went into the service again for Korea.
Korea, right.
I mean, wow, that kind of patriotism. I don't
By the way, he didn't watch television.
Who?
He thought Ted Williams. He said, I need my eyes. That will hurt my eyes.
Wow. They used to say he could, on a fastball, he could read the label.
Probably.
On the baseball, the Rawlings label. As it came.
406 in...
Yes, 1940.
40?
Last person to hit 41.
Yeah.
Last person to hit 400, and he did it on the last day of the season. He was at 400, and he could have
It was,
sat.
I think it was 399 actually.
No.
Yeah, right. You're right. He could have.
Because he could have just sat.
No, I think they were going to round it out. I think that was the story.
No,
it would technically or
No.
400.
No. He had either 400 or 401. In other words, the point is, he had the record. All he had to do was sit.
Yep.
And he said, no, that's not the way I roll. Doubleheader went 6 for 8.
Yep.
And that's why. So, my reason I bring this up out of the blue is, I always think of him when I think of you, because I thought, wow. He gave up a lot of his good years.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah.
Nothing pisses me off more than single-use plastic bottles. Well, not nothing, but ignoring the environment is way up there on my list of dumb things we are doing to wreck the planet. That's where Liquid Death comes in. Liquid Death may look like a beer or some bro-inspired energy drink that you pound down before your 10-minute cold plunge, but in reality, it's a healthy beverage brand. Why would someone call a healthy beverage Liquid Death? Because their mission is to bring death to single-use plastic bottles with their infinitely recyclable aluminum cans. Liquid Death donates a portion of profits to eliminating the use of plastic. If plastic pollution isn't curbed, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean by 2050. You can get free shipping of Liquid Death's Mountain Water, flavored sparkling, and iced tea 8-packs with Amazon Prime, or grab a can or a case at your local 7-Eleven, Target, Walmart, Whole Foods, or on Instacart. Go to liquiddeath.com/random to check out all their healthy, infinitely recyclable beverages and find your closest retailer. That's liquiddeath.com/random. Once more, liquiddeath.com/random. Thank you to Liquid Death for your support. Eat stress-free this spring with Factor's delicious ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never-frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and you can heat and eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. And discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. If you're looking for gourmet meals, Factor features premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, truffle butter, broccolini, and asparagus. Customize your weekly meals with the flexibility to get as much or as little as you need. Pause or reschedule deliveries to suit your lifestyle. We're celebrating Earth Day all month long. Look out for the Earth Month Eats badge on the menu for our lowest carbon footprint meals. Head to factormeals.com/random50 and use code RANDOM50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. That's code RANDOM50 at factormeals.com/random50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while your subscription is active. Okay, I'll be at the Arizona Financial Theater May 4th in Phoenix, Arizona. May 18th, the Borgata, my old place at the Borgata. May 18th, that's down in Atlantic City. And May 19th at the Palace Theater in Albany, New York. I never really understood the business machinations of it, and I'm sure it's boring to you at this point, so I don't want to go into that. But when did it end?
When I met my beautiful wife, Julie.
That's not when the business part of it ended.
The part that mattered ended probably the moment I laid eyes on her, actually.
Wow.
It was literally, I actually, and I've only said this once in my life, that's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. And I was like, and I may have said it out loud, right? She was across the room and all that, and I just...
Wow,
I think God does that. There's a internal or a heavenly telegraph, telepathy or whatever that you... In other words, that was the code for me, that this is the one that's meant for you, John. And so I stood there like and so she walked up to me because a couple of her friends or she had dared them. Hey, that's John Fogerty. I'm going to go shake his hand. But I was on the other end just being a guy. I wasn't John Fogerty.
Where was this event taking place?
It was in Indianapolis after I had done a show there.
Okay.
And it was in a little club around the corner from the hotel I was staying in. And the club was called Don't Ask.
Oh, yeah, it was around the corner from Don't Tell?
Yeah.
Yeah, great place. So I got to say, you just wetted panties all over this country because, like, the idea of a man fielding a question about his business life with the answer, doesn't matter, I met the most beautiful girl in the world. That is going to cause orgasms somewhere. Someone's going to send this to somebody and say,
Well-
you think there's no good men left? Well, here's an 80-year-old.
Well, Bill, the point
Now,
being,
what year was this?
that was 1986.
1986.
Yep.
So right after center field.
September 14th, if I remember correctly.
I'm sure you do,
Yeah.
because you'd be in hot water if you didn't.
Um,
Wow, that's very romantic.
so-
You're an ultimate romantic.
She allowed me to be. That's absolutely, I'm not sure what I was before then. I'd, read a couple of books and seen some cool movies in my life. And she allowed me to be that guy you just said. And I became that guy 100%, 110%, flowers and all that kind of stuff.
Still.
Never failing to say, and which is how I feel in my heart, honey, you look beautiful.
That is so
Or
beautiful.
I love you. And because I even tell her that, you let me be that romantic guy. Okay, so in a lot of ways in business, I got F, right? But the point is,
and
I ended up with the golden ticket.
but you're okay with looking back. You're okay with how you handled it. You have no regrets.
Oh, I remember hearing Sinatra or somebody saying, "Oh man, I wouldn't change a thing." I go, "Are you kidding? I'd change everything."
I always say the same thing.
Oh, my
People who go no regrets. I'm like, I have regrets every single day. It's almost what it basically means to be a human, is that you're always moving forward, which is the dark because we haven't been there yet. Behind you is lit because you've seen it.
Right.
So of course it's full of regrets. Now, as you get older and wiser, you do get wiser kids. The regrets become fewer because you've seen more, because the dark is somewhat less dark.
Sure, and you also don't step out into the elevator shaft that doesn't have a car in it.
Right.
You look and,
Or-
because you're older, you kind of a little more wary about
when I
things.
think of some of the things I did that could have killed me, I remember we got this stuff that I see now.
Did you just say, I did some stuff that could have killed me?
Totally.
Yeah,
I remember we
right.
got this stuff. We did
said that.
every drug that came along that was, I see now, looking back, it was poppers, what it became very big in the gay community. It was amyl nitrate. But we got it in this form.
Don't they give that to leopards when they're trying to...
It looked like this. It looked exactly like this. And you take the top off and go...
Careful.
And, yeah, but this isn't it. And you would turn beet red and laugh hysterically for 2 minutes, and then it was over. Obviously, it was something really bad for you. And like, what if I had a brain fart because we were all so stoned and drank it? I'd be dead. Shit like that. You know, that's why I like being older, because the pain from the stupidity was almost too much and could have killed you. Anyway. Bad moon rising. So...
Well, wait, one more. I just wanted to reemphasize that point, that even though I got effed, right, in a lot of ways, and a lot of years...
What are you, a Christian? You can't say fuck?
I just don't... If I'm going to use my chip, I'm going to use it in the best place I can use it.
That's so old school. I kind of love that.
Yeah,
You're right. It is overused. You're right.
The fact that I found this gigantic gold nugget that everyone else is looking for, and here I was, shipwrecked dude on the beach with, no shoes and his pants ripped up to here. I'm stumbling along and found the gold nugget,
Wait, what are we talking about?
my wife.
Oh, okay. Okay. Right.
And I realized it.
You lost me on the island with the pants.
The point being, I knew it. I knew what that meant. And
you knew it
as
in
I
the-
started to tell her, probably a week into it or something like that, said, honey, meeting you and one day with you is worth the 20 years in hell.
Holy shit.
And that's the truth.
That is just such a beautiful story.
Yeah, but what's important in life is all that stuff you're going to smoke up or eat up or throw away worth losing the love of your life? Of course not.
It's such a profound point, and it's something that has been a theme in my life ever since I'm serious, because when I was 17 years old, I had my first girlfriend. I was very shy. So when I was masturbating furiously, and a couple of girls they liked me. I knew I was so shy I couldn't move on it. Very tragic. Anyway, so when I finally got a girlfriend when I was 16, and then she dumped me when I was 17, it was so devastating that I remember thinking at the time and ever since, where do you put your eggs in life? Do you put it in love or do you put it in career? And I think because of that, elementary moment in my life and the pain that it caused at 17, I always put it in, no, career. I can control that. Another person, I can't control. They could leave me, they could die, I could change, they could change. But career, I can control that. I just signed a new deal with HBO. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Right.
No, but I really think that is the fulcrum that is so important to so many people's decision-making in life. Where do you put that energy? Do you put it in love or do you put it in your career? Because Freud said it. He said that's it. There's work and love. That's pretty much all there.
No, he said that.
Yeah.
What did he do?
He got fucking jaw cancer and died. But other than that, he's the father of psychology. I'm very skeptical about psychiatrists. I don't know how you feel about psychiatrists. But,
Julie was my psychiatrist.
Holy shit. Boy, did I walk into that one. Here, do a
No. But the point being, I did go to a couple of shrinks. One of them actually on the advice of Julie, right? And I will.
Oh, she wasn't your shrink.
No, not.
You mean like in an off book?
No, really went and met with a doctor guy, in a room.
Isn't a wonderful woman who loves you and understands you the best shrink there is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's my point. But
down on the corner.
Huh? There's another weird thing you said, and I do want to address that because also in this day and age, this world we live in these days with all the stuff on the phone and everything. I'm just so glad I'm not out there trying to find somebody. It's just scary. Julie and I look at each other that way. Oh my God. But you did say something about 20-year-olds.
It is scary.
And I wanted to address that.
But I must say, among 80-year-olds, I feel like you could do almost at the very top of the percentile. Among 80-year-olds.
What does that mean?
I'm saying if women of almost any age had to pick among 80-year-olds, I feel like you would do very well. Come on, look, I just
You want me to be ridiculous?
No,
I think the point
not
being,
kidding.
Not only is she going to say, "What do you mean Sinatra? Who's that? Who's the Beatles? Who's Elvis? Who's Creedence? Who's Madonna? Who's that 20-year-old going to say, I like Billie Eilish?
May I rebut that?
And
may I rebut? May I rebut?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. First of all, there's the butt. 20-year-olds have great butts. Now, here's my rebuttal to that, which is one. First of all, I like to learn about Billie Eilish, and that's the only way you can, is by actually talking to somebody that age. And I don't have kids.
Yeah.
So, okay. Secondly, there's ignorance and stupidity are two very different things. Stupidity means you can't learn because you're fucking stupid. Ignorance means you just don't know something. But somebody who is very smart and wants to learn, then it can be kind of a joy if you get the opportunity to watch Casablanca together for the first time. you know.
I'm agreeing with you because I've got
see
one of
that.
those too. She's 22.
Right.
She's at NYU. She's my daughter,
Okay.
Kelsey.
All right. Well,
And from the
then
time she was probably 8 or 9 and
Well.
loving music, I got to,
right.
I did this with all my kids. I even used the phrase, I get to see the world through their eyes.
I do too. I just didn't have them as children.
Right. Well, yes, it has, Bill. Doggone it. Oh, boom. I've had some friends who have that formula, and gosh,
What formula? What
that formula of dating people that are 40 years younger than you.
I don't. Well, I never saw it as a formula, but now that you mention it, you know what? People use the term appropriate relationship all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's an appropriate relationship, one that works.
Sure.
If yours works for you, great. If mine works for me, I don't expect or think I should have to abide by any judgment. We all are attracted to who we're attracted to, and I could find fault with almost any types of pairings. So whatever works. I mean, we certainly think that nowadays with cross-sexual relationship. I mean, we're certainly past the age where we think gay is any different or worse or more abnormal. Right. It's just different. And so with trans, and I say, great, go whoever, go girl, go boy, go they. But that should apply to me too, or anybody. We're not talking about children, but, you know, people of different ages. And again, why is it okay when Kate Beckinsale does it? Why is it okay when Madonna do it? Because it is.
Cher?
Yes,
you mean? Like,
Cher.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it works, it's appropriate.
Yep. Yeah, and also everybody's, may have different goals, and that's okay too.
Exactly. Right. And let's be honest, the Orthodox model is more often a failure than not. I mean, you're one of the lucky ones. You met someone many years ago, you remained steadily in love and obviously attracted. I mean, that's a great story. It's not the usual story. It's just not.
So,
how many
you didn't ask this question, but we were talking, mom and dad, meaning my wife and I, a little while ago. And she said something about rock star or something. And I said, I wanted to be a rock star. I certainly wanted to be a great musician in, rock and roll. But I didn't want to live rock star life, whatever that means. There's a few people we could probably think of that have very long and glittering careers that way, meaning I certainly was around all the drugs and drinking and all the rest. I'm not going to say I never did any of that. I'm just saying that how my brain worked, it didn't seem like a long-term discipline.
Right.
It bothered me. I had a lot of trouble with alcohol for many years.
You're very wise. I mean, I
learned the hard way.
Well, you saw where it was going, probably because in your generation of stars, like we lost that famous thing about age 27, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, who were some of I forget, but like.
I think Robert Johnson, matter of fact. The old blues guy.
Oh, really? Was 27?
Yeah.
From heroin?
He was poisoned.
Poisoned?
Messing around with some guy's wife or woman.
You sure it wasn't?
That's a famous story. Anyway, in Greenwood, in Three Forks, Mississippi. Yeah, but he was famous for womanizing, but he was a kid. Yeah, but he was part of the 27 Club.
Yeah, and there was, Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
Hendrix, Joplin. I mean, those are like three of the giants.
Kurt Cobain, I guess.
Kurt Cobain, yes. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was almost like the Big Bopper Buddy Holly plane crash, except they weren't all on the same plane. They were all doing the same.
That year, it was 70, I guess.
Yeah, it was like, there was, and, that probably had an effect on you. How could you have not seen that? Those were your peers at the very moment you were peaking.
Every place you'd go, you'd be backstage at the Fillmore, I mean, I was young, and I know also I was competitive about my band. I was trying to keep my band relevant, powerful.
Right, exactly.
Right,
Which
and
is what
these
you
people would come through back, say, "Hey, man, I got a handful of," and these are yellows or greenies or and I didn't know what. I would look at the hand and I go, "How the hell do I know where that came from? Could have been,
Well, he
made
said
in
it
a
was
toilet
yellow.
somewhere, right?" Well, I mean, I wasn't going to take it. I wanted to go
Right.
out and do a good performance, right?
hysterical.
Hey, see, that's something else that's wrong with me. It was that. It was that
No,
that
that's
not
great.
wanting. It wasn't about me getting to have go on vacation. In other words, I wanted to be a musician, and I was
Right.
trying hard as I could just to rise to a certain level. And the fact, I mean, I knew drinking made you drunk, and I knew that smoking pot made you altered, and I wouldn't probably be able to remember the chords or words to the song. Therefore, I would be bad.
Right.
And I sure didn't
No.
want that, right?
No,
It
you
was
don't want
It
that.
was a competitive thing.
Very competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, and you guys were like beyond the songwriting, which, let's be honest, is 90% of it. But it was a tight little band.
Yep.
Like when you did
For
that,
a time.
like I have this song of yours, which has been the #1 song on the top of my playlist because it's 11 minutes long. So like if you're like waiting for people to, but it's always been one of my favorites. Your cover of "Heard It Through the Grapevine,"
Mm-hmm.
which like really highlights that. I mean, to go through 11 minutes and not be boring, it's just a great jam.
Thank you.
Because
Thank
that's
you for
not
that.
an 11-minute song.
No. No, that was my point about the jamming
Well, why?
thing. Jamming was became a big deal. And
Why did you do that? Why did you do an 11-minute version of that?
well, obviously it started out that way. Susie Q was a jam, but it was organized. It wasn't just, I'm waiting for you to have an idea. Oh, I was waiting for you to have, and everybody's going plung, 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 but nobody's really playing anything, right? Now, I sure didn't want to do that, and I did not want to be in a band that did that.
I'm just saying, it always struck me as an odd choice, as much as I love it, because it had already been a hit.
Oh, that song.
It had already been a hit for Gladys Knight.
Yep.
Then it was a giant hit for Marvin Gaye.
Yep.
Okay, in 1968. That was my first year listening. Okay, that was like right at the time when
Yeah.
that was at the top of the charts. Hey Jude was probably the next big #1 hit, 1968. But so to cover it a third time for 11 minutes, and yet you did. I mean, you did something to it that I'm still playing it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great
Wow,
fucking.
you're right
it's
about
a
that.
great fucking jam song, and it never gets boring for 11 minutes. It's really good.
Well, there's stuff being played, stuff happening to there's a new scene, there's a new actor comes into the focus or something, stuff.
But did you ever do another cover at all?
After that, I don't know.
I don't
there
think
was
so.
a few cover. I covered.
It wasn't the era.
Ooby Dooby. I covered
mean-
"My Baby Left Me" by Elvis.
Oh, you did? I never.
Mhm.
Oh, really?
That's
I don't remember
also on. Those are on Cosmo's Factory. Both of them.
that. Huh. See, I don't remember those. Because "My Baby Left Me." That
Yes,
was-
my baby.
Oh, I
left
know
me.
it.
Never, yeah,
I know it.
yeah.
Just not one of my. I mean, that was an Elvis song.
That was the other. That was actually a defining moment in my life. Hearing the Elvis one, I was my family was up in this place called Winters, California, Northern California, near where the Puda Creek is, which is the little creek that
Creek?
little river that I named Green River and made a song about all
Oh.
of that life, right? And I'm in this thing that was kind of a general store. I'm about 10 years old. And there's a jukebox, believe it or not. It's like a grocery store that has fishing bait and poles and maybe various stuff. And suddenly this song starts playing. And what? And there's a jukebox. And I'm hearing this incredible guitar thing and some guy going, "Yes, my baby love me," and I'm, wow. And I didn't know what it was. So I ran over and, and I'm finally looking, okay, it's A11 or whatever. And I look
Right.
on the thing and it says, Elvis Presley, My Baby Left Me. And I went, oh, it's Elvis. And I finally figured out it's the other side of I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, which was Elvis's second
Right.
big song after Heartbreak Hotel.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
just stood there hypnotized, transfixed. I don't know what that is, but that's what I want to do. And I made up my mind right then, that's why I covered it.
See, I like Elvis's starter hit, which is Heartbreak Hotel.
Yep.
At least that was the first one on RCA. He did record for 2 years before that on Sun Records.
Right.
But I don't think
nobody really
were they
knew
even
them.
released nationally. I mean, we have them now as archival. But the first big hit, he went to RCA, released Heartbreak Hotel, January 1956, the year I was born. And that was like, I like Heartbreak Hotel. There is something timeless about that one. That's kind of an amazing record. Then You Lose Me. I mean, I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, all that. 50s. I didn't get back to Elvis.
But the third one was Hound Dog. And Don't Be Cruel.
Hate that.
Oh my God, really?
Don't Be Cruel. Yes, that 50s shit, I'm sorry. It's just not for me. It's all Love Me Do shit.
Well, because you didn't experience it when it happened?
No, because it sucks, because it's not sophisticated. I experience it now. I think Jailhouse Rock, which was 1957, that's a good hit. I mean, that's a much more sophisticated, it's just a better song. And then...
That's Lieber and Stoller.
I mean, yes, it is. Exactly. That's probably why. Return to Sender in 1962.
You like that one?
Yes, I like that one. But most of them were just travelogue songs from his stupid movies. Then you get...
Oh, wait, that's a whole nother... Sure. Go ahead.
Well, then
sure.
you get to 1969. He's Your Year, again, the year of Creedence and all this great stuff. And we have Suspicious Minds. He tells Colonel Parker, I'm tired of the travelogue movies. I want to go back to touring, Vegas, and, the jumpsuits, that look.
Yeah.
And then you get great music for about another 5 years, I think. That's my favorite Elvis period.
Oh.
Yes, when he was a grown-ass man and he demanded grown-ass music, and he did some great fucking tracks that people... I was talking to Sheryl Crow was here recently. I'm talking about Any Day Now, Burt Bacharach song. It's on From Memphis to Vegas, one of his great double albums, Elvis. Both places he was working at the time.
Uh-huh.
And that was great stuff. I would love to sit with you and just listen to my iPod on shuffle, see what comes up over 40-something years of...
Elvis?
No, not just Elvis, of everybody.
Oh.
Like everything I've ever liked. That's why I like the old iPod, because I can just make the not even playlist, shuffle. Just put it on shuffle of like all the songs I've collected from 1968 to now. Because, Frank Sinatra would come on, and then next thing would be Talking Heads.
You're talking about the musical experience of your lifetime.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's Bill Maher radio.
There you go.
But I bet you would like a lot of them, or maybe some of them you would go, what the fuck is that?
I think that's just a description of your life, the time period that you live in and experience.
Well, you added a lot to it. For something in a super competitive business, where, I mean, not to, again...
Well, I like some of the things
American
I did.
breed, bend me, shake me.
Yeah,
I
there you
mean,
go.
they did it once, but, you did it a lot. And not that we're trying to, like, shit on the American breed tonight. Yeah. Not at all. They did a very fine record. But I'm just saying...
I'm amazed you remember that's the name of that band. Wow.
Because I have the whole album, and I spent $4.90.
Oh, you see, to a kid, what a disappointment.
It probably cost me $3.99.
Yeah, that's right.
For crying out loud for one.
Plus 14 cents tax.
Yeah, for one song.
Yeah.
For God's sakes.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I love music, loved music, and the really great things.
Still on tour. You're still on tour, right?
Yeah, going out there all this summer. I'm playing a lot of shows, touring with George Thorogood.
Wow.
So we're going to have a lot of fun.
That's a great bill.
Yeah. I've known George for many years.
So you do it
this is the first time we're actually touring together.
So you're doing this is the summer?
Yep.
The summer, man. Is there anything like the summer rock
Oh, it's
tour?
great.
You know, Kid Rock has that song about, with the girl on your shoulders in the second row. I mean, there is something about that experience, especially outside.
Also, I've often wondered, boy, you passed through a thing. You do something at Woodstock and you're 24.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, and maybe by the time you're 30, you go, I wish I hadn't done that.
What was Woodstock like?
But then by the time you're 60, you're going, hot damn.
Yes.
I'm really glad I did that.
You should be.
Yeah.
You were at Woodstock.
Yeah, it
right?
was. It was.
What day?
The middle day, Saturday.
So it started on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Who played on Friday? You remember?
I only heard about
Sha
it.
Na Na was there too.
Were they?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know who was on the Friday.
Who was on your day?
I've only reconstructed it later. And later is the operative word here.
Well, you must know who you followed, because that's always in an artist's mind.
You had to ask that, didn't you?
Really? Because isn't that so important? It would be to a comic. Like I would remember 40 years on. Like
I remember 50, 60 years on, sure.
But like who you followed is to me would be the big question. You don't
So
remember?
I had agreed to do this show after seeing a bunch of billboards up and down the East Coast, probably about March, April of '69. It's that thing we've all seen with the guitar,
Yes.
actually a bass.
With
There's
the-
a little birdie
There's a
sitting
bird
on it.
on it. Yes.
3 days of peace, love, and
Yes.
something. I forget
Sex in the mud.
Yeah, probably. And so they called me and I said, all right, but you got to give us the prime spot on, we want you to be on Saturday. Okay, but it's got to be the prime spot. That would be 8 o'clock or possibly 9 o'clock.
So you went
Okay, John.
You went on at 3 a.m.
Yep.
Really?
So we get there by World War II helicopter, which can only take 2 of the band at a time.
Really?
Land in this thing in the afternoon. I mean, you come up over a hill, if you're in this little thing that's shaking,
Right.
like it's going to, and then you see the biggest crowd of people you've ever seen in your, I mean, you didn't even know there was that many, it was like
So,
out of the Bible.
You'd only take one guy. Who'd you take?
Two of us from the band and
Right.
plus the guy flying.
So you could take one guy with you.
Yep.
Who was it? I bet not.
I can't remember. I think Doug was sitting with me, but I can't remember
I
for
bet
sure.
it wasn't the drummer. No, I'm fucking.
That was the drummer.
Kidding.
And then I actually went out and walked around in the crowd. I had a little hat on and I think I had a scarf or something. And I remember somebody was selling, it was either a quart of water or a gallon for, I think it was $1. I want to say $5, but it was probably, and I was just upset that people are selling water. It's like a staple,
Even
right?
then
And
they
I just,
were?
yeah. Well, if you remember, or if you've read about Woods, they ran out of food and they ran out of water. And there was a dire,
Right.
right.
They didn't
And
run-
I'm looking at all these people. I didn't know 500,000. I just knew it was the biggest crowd of
They
people.
didn't run
and
out
I
of-
thought,
They didn't
if they stampede, if something goes bad here,
stampede. No.
a lot of people are going to
No.
die.
They looked happy. They ran out of food. They ran out of water. They did not run out of cum or mud or acid.
True.
And
You
but the,
named the movie
right
that
I mean,
followed.
But what's interesting is if you've ever seen the documentary, and if you haven't, I recommend it highly, on the 1999 Woodstock, because they did a
I've
tour.
heard about it.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie's good. The situation was not.
Right.
I mean, what people had become was just curdled. I mean, people were much more materialistic, rapey, misogynistic. We were supposed to have advanced, not in 1999.
See, and you weren't even a hippie in the 60s with all those things, you came
No, I
along later.
was 13. So I was just that kid at the, with my nose pressed up against the window thinking, wow, I wish I was old enough to go to Woodstock and see CCR like I did at Shea Stadium.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that would be the next year when I said
Yeah.
it. But
See, but you're saying there's a little bit of ownership there. You're saying that in 99, God, all these people didn't get better; they got worse.
They got worse.
Yeah.
They did. I mean, it was more commercial. I mean, when you look at that documentary, it's ugly. It's ugly. The kind of like, masochistic bro kind of vibe that was in the audience.
Well, the audience and the bands, I've heard
and
that
the
they
bands,
were, they
it
were
was,
trying
it was
to.
the age of metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot of that. And
See, but what
but
you're
I don't
doing,
blame the bands.
if that scene or the movie you're talking about was about Attica or something, St. Quentin, you would have been okay with it. But the touchstone being, here's Woodstock in '69 with peace and love and all that, and then here's Woodstock again.
Well,
and it's like,
John, I think some of the people in Attica are there for a reason. The kids at Woodstock were just going for a concert. I mean,
but you're
Attica.
comparing them to. That's all. That was the point I was making. This Woodstock is not like that Woodstock.
Right, but neither one is in a prison. It's really, I think.
Well, I just meant a place that was you would
Yeah, but-
expect bad stuff.
I know, but that's a place where there's a reason we expect bad stuff because it's where they sent the criminals.
Yeah. I mean, it's remarkable that Woodstock '69 was as peaceful as those kids put up with a lot of.
It is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, they ran, mud. No protection from the
Right.
elements. Ran out of food. They actually had the airdrop.
And what about bathroom issues?
All that stuff.
That to me, maybe.
I didn't experience that. I was sort of in that afternoon, left
But I know.
early in the morning.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like bathroom issues to me would be the worst of it. Like I could go 4 days without food. I do fasts,
Yeah.
but not having a place to go or having maybe the residue of people going somewhere where I was.
I don't even know what was the story on that. Was there not enough porta potties?
I'm sure there were not. Would
Yeah.
we guess that they had
500,000 people?
And it would. No, I just think it was bad. But anyway, that's really, I'm sure, not the memory of Woodstock we all want to have. But
Well, for
so
me,
what was your
the
memory? So you don't remember who you followed?
Oh, of course I do.
Oh, I asked you that.
Yeah.
Who?
The Grateful Dead.
The Grateful Dead. Never liked them.
Well,
They were never my kind of band. I'm sorry. I'm sure they're
I
great.
was kind of,
that's-
what's the word?
Uh,
I was, there was a natural, here's what's fun.
I'm sure you killed.
Politically and philosophically, I was absolutely in the same place as the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, but the music is different.
I didn't imbibe in the drugs at the same time as the music like they did.
Well-
and that kind of bothered me a little bit. I thought it affected the music.
Well, you know the old joke about the Grateful Dead, don't you? Like, what did the Grateful Dead fans say when the acid wore off?
Moved off, yeah.
This band sucks.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they're great. Look, like I said, you can't argue with people about music. You either like it or you don't. I'm sure they're great, but they're a jam band. That's not my thing.
Sure.
I remember
if the right
Traveling Band, 2 minutes and 1 second.
James Brown, man, get in, get out of here.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Proud Mary, 3 minutes on the dot.
Yeah.
It was like the Nazis
Actually,
were
I
in-
think it's 3:19.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought it was, okay. Maybe I'm thinking of Honky Tonk Woman. It's 3 minutes. But like, it was like the Nazis were in the control room. Like, we will
that
make
was
this
me.
record,
Oh, that was, if he went bam, ding, 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 and if you did that 3 times, out of here, get out, forget it.
But I
mean,
love
it's
that.
just like,
Yeah, Beatles too. Like, just get to it.
Right.
You know? I mean, that's another reason, I talk about this all the time, I'm sure people think I'm nuts, but another reason why I love the old iPod, because you can edit songs on the computer.
Oh.
Because the songs are on your computer, then
Right.
you load them into the old iPod. That takes like, 30 seconds, so God, we can't have that. Rather have streaming where I don't get what I want. But you can cut off, you can
I didn't
edit.
know that.
Yes, nobody knows this. I'm trying to get the word out. You can edit. You can get rid of the beginning or the end. You can't do the middle, but you can cut off. People have like phone messages on the beginning of their stupid songs.
Well,
great-
you just like fade it in.
No, you just
fade
go
it
to
out.
options and it says, where do you want to start the song? You want to start you play it? Oh, I see. At second 45, it gets to be with the song. I can cut off the other bullshit. Or sometimes people are talking at the beginning of their song. There's clapping at the end for 30 seconds. I can cut all that off.
Wow.
The beginning or the end.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Fuck
You can
yeah,
be,
man.
You can be your own DJ.
Not a DJ, editor.
Okay.
Even better.
See what you've hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
I think, how can I say it? A record is a presentation.
It is.
That's not
you.
the same as a jam,
I mean, like,
right?
not to always go back to the Beatles, but like
Well,
I said,
they were great.
They were
absolutely.
of course, they're the patriarchs.
Yep.
Okay, like even songs that like I've said this many times, they're not. They have some great lyrics and some are just silly because the music is so great.
Right.
So I bet you we both know "Hello Goodbye," right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the lyrics are nothing. They're just really just "Hello Goodbye." That's the whole song. But how does it start? Let's do it on. I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then we'll start. 1, 2, 3. You say yes.
Oh, ding, ding, ding.
I say no.
Ding, ding,
We're
ding.
into it already.
Yeah.
Okay. No bullshit. We're into this really good melodic song that means nothing, but we don't care because the song is so good. You know, I'd rather have both, but I'd always take the song. I mean, I still listen to Hello Goodbye. It's still a great song. I think I've gotten the message. Hello Goodbye.
But don't you appreciate, especially with the Beatles, they understood entertainment. Meaning
Totally.
they were
Oh.
capable of writing heavy songs,
Oh.
but they didn't just, everything's important. It's so important every day.
And when
It's
when they
Yeah.
wrote one about how important things were, it's one of their greatest revolution.
yeah.
Still, what an amazing record. Just as a, you know,
Right.
it just kills you,
wanna
right?
bet- Yeah, when you go carrying signs of Chairman Mao, right.
You're not
This
gonna
is a
make it-
different world we live in, but I was out on tour in '86 when a Nike ad came on TV using Revolution.
Oh,
That I was staying in a Holiday Inn. The trash can in my room went all the way across the room and missed the TV by about that. I was so pissed off that Beatles in a commercial. No. Oh God, I was angry
not their
about
fault.
that.
Not their fault. They didn't do that.
No.
Michael Jackson did that.
Is that right?
Of course.
Is that where that came from?
You remember that. He bought,
Yeah.
they,
Paul advised him to do it, so he did.
well,
I didn't say my songs, mate.
I mean, they should have been watching the store better, but they talk about getting fucked over. They did too.
Yep.
Not like you, not on that level. They were always able to record, but they, you know, everybody.
A lot of their songs were owned,
Look.
Northern, I think it was Brian Epstein and some attorney, I've forgotten. the name.
There's two things I know about the music industry, and they are somewhat related because they both use the word fuck. Everybody gets fucked financially if they can. You have to fight for what you
Yep, sure do.
Okay. And two, this is someone I know who was in the music industry, an attractive woman said to me once, she said, I've never known any men in the industry who has not tried to fuck me. Some of them do it more elegantly. Some of them are rapists, but they will fuck you financially and they will try to fuck you sexually.
Oh, you're talking about a woman said this.
Yes, a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I'm sure it happens to men too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, and I don't want to cause trouble. Of course I do. I'm Bill Maher. But like the Me Too movement went through movies, went through television, went through finance, went through Garrison Keillor and the Senate, Al Franken. And boy, the music industry, the epicenter of it. I mean, you saw they raided Diddy's house. I don't know what's going on there. But
We don't know yet.
No, we don't know. But I'm just saying, the music industry, are you kidding me too,
That's
people?
the Wild West.
It's the epicenter of the problem,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And you fucking left it alone because we all love music so much. The only reason I can think of is that,
When I was young, I thought that there was some kind of structure to all the things in entertainment that, and that you get to this level and click, kind of like the military. You become a second lieutenant, and then you become a major, or then a colonel. I mean, I thought there was some sort of, I'm saying it in a weird way, but a structure that everyone followed.
In show business?
I was a kid. It seemed to be what I saw from looking at records and watching TV.
Well,
And
there were gatekeepers.
Hmm?
There were gatekeepers, which there are not now so much.
I suppose.
In other words, you had to be signed to a record company.
That was probably your only way through to the. Eventually, it was
How
your
did you
only way
get
through.
signed?
By knocking on the door.
You personally?
Yes.
Of who?
I was 19. I knocked on the door of Fantasy Records.
You did?
Yeah. I had seen it.
Where were they?
About the only label in the Bay Area. They were.
Oh,
in
I
San
see. They're in
Francisco.
the Bay Area.
Yeah. I'd seen a TV program with 3 parts.
Your brother
called,
didn't do that?
No, I did it. I went over and knocked on the door and walked in and started talking to a man named Max Weiss. There was this thing about the song Vince Giraldi, Cast Your Fate to the Winds, and that was their one and only hit. They'd accidentally had a hit record that was on Top 40 radio. It was an instrumental piano song, okay? And so this Ralph Gleason, who was a writer, jazz writer mostly in the Bay Area, had sort of overseen a little special about it called Anatomy of a Hit. And so finally, I made up my mind, I'm going to go over there and knock on their door. And I walked in. There's this guy, Max Weiss.
They were in San Francisco?
Yep, one of the owners of the label. But I had to, it's a telling story.
I'm sorry,
I had to
but-
wait down here in the stairwell because there was another guy up at the top of the stairs talking to.
Where in San Francisco? I'm very
It's on
curious.
Treat Avenue.
Where's
Treat
that
Street.
near?
Huh?
Where's that near? I know San Francisco pretty well.
Below Market.
Below
somewhere.
Market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not a good. It's warehouse
Right.
section.
I know the area. Yeah.
So anyway, up at the top of the stairs, this Max Weiss character, who is one of the guys I saw on the TV show. There's another guy talking to him, and the other guy, this guy's a songwriter or arranger or something. He's an older guy. I mean, I'm 19. He looks like he's 35 or something. Oh, yeah. Well, I got a song, Johnny Mathis is covering my song that I did. And this guy, and he's going to do my song. He's telling all this to Max. And I'm 19. I'm looking up. What the fuck are you doing here? And that's exactly what I said to myself. I got up there, and of course, Max called me Colonel or Bright Eyes, which he had just called that guy the same thing. And that began a very long and
Did you have
tortured,
a demo?
Huh?
Did you have a demo with you?
I think I had some instrumentals
You had to have something.
on tape because this was an instrumental, their hit.
Oh,
They
I
were a
see.
jazz label. You may remember, they were the ones that made the colored LPs, yellow,
But you had none
blue.
of your famous songs yet?
Oh, no. No, I was barely out of high school.
Then why did they sign you?
Oh, we kept knocking on the door.
This wasn't the first. This was only the first
It's
time.
really funny. The week I happened to walk in there that week, and I had a little tape that had, I think it was reel to reel, had maybe 3 or 4 rock and roll instrumental kind of songs, because their hit, the Vince Giraldi song, was an instrumental. So that's what we took over there, right? I had grown up through high school with my little band, the Blue Velvets, mostly playing instrumentals, many of which I wrote, but a lot of covers, Dwayne Eddy, The Ventures,
Ventures,
anybody that played rock music instrumentally. I probably Honky Tonk by Bill Doggett, right? And The Ventures.
I don't know any of this shit.
Oh, okay.
I mean, to me, this is like
Well, those are my founding fathers.
Yeah,
you
this
might
is your
say.
apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. Then you learned your craft, and then you created these masterpieces. And that's when me, the consumer, the guy who can't do anything musically but appreciates music, was able to get so much pleasure for 55 years. I mean, I thought of it today that I've been playing your stuff for 55 years. It's sobering that where did those years go? But it's also really interesting that when you think about 1969 to 2024 and all of your stuff And this stuff of Bridge Over Troubled Water is still played, and lots of stuff from that era is
That's
still
a great
played.
song and a great
Lots
record.
of great songs.
Yeah.
But if you went back from 1969, what's 25 years before that? It's
The War?
1914. Nobody in 1969 knew one song from
Did you say 25 years or 45?
55. The
Oh,
same
oh, I
as
see.
from 69 till now.
I get
I'm
it.
saying the songs from your era, including yours, are still played and still widely known today. Nobody knows anything or knew anything in 1969 from 1914. What was the song? Alexander's Ragtime Band?
You nailed it.
Okay, that's like in the history books. I don't know how it goes.
Oh,
let's do a cover of that.
The
I'm sure
funny
it'll be-
thing about that song, that's Irving Berlin, who
Is
my
it?
mom.
Is that
who
Irving Berlin?
Yes.
Must have
the
been
guy
one of-
lived to be 100 years old.
Yeah, wow, you're right. And that must have been one of the
In-
early ones.
Somewhere in the 70s, because my mom used to talk about some of these songwriters, right? One of which was Irving Berlin.
Right.
But there was a point in Irving's life, because of the way the copyright laws were in the old days, he lived long enough that particular song went into the public domain.
Yes.
He didn't own his own song because of the laws of America.
Right.
I mean, that's a really weird anomaly of.
And Irving Berlin wrote, didn't he write God Bless America? Yes, I think so.
Yep.
Not this Star Spangled Banner, that was Francis Scott Key, but God Bless America. And did he write White Christmas? I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, just like the ones
Irving Berlin wrote
And a
White Christmas
Right.
sitting on the beach in Santa Monica.
Exactly. And I can sing the intro to the song, which is never done. One guy did it, Robert Goulet. Would you like to hear it? Because you're right, it was written here in California, about being in California and nobody ever sings the intro. I'm going to treat you now, John Fogerty.
Please.
The sun is shining, the grass is green, the orange and palm trees sway. There's never been such a day in Beverly Hills, L.A. But it's December the 24th, and I am longing to be up north. I'm dreaming
Oh my goodness.
of a white Christmas. Yeah. Yeah, man.
I've been robbed. I've been cheated my whole life.
I'll send you it.
No, it's because we know I'm dreaming,
Yeah.
ba-ba-ba-boo, and the snow's coming down.
But
and
there
all.
was that intro. The exact kind of thing I'd cut off in my fucking iPod
There
using
you
the
go.
edit function. No, that one actually is good.
Well, it tells you a whole different thing that I never knew until
Right.
much later in life.
No. I'm telling you, we got to listen to my shuffle together. Because
This is Bill Maher's
yes.
iPod of the universe.
Well, it does encompass like 68 to today. I mean, not that, look, I'm not going to lie, there's not as much from later years as early years, probably, but there's stuff in every decade. Every decade produces great music.
Good for you.
I've never been a fan of people who think that we need to government subsidize the arts. The arts will always out. I didn't need any government subsidy. You didn't need any government subsidy. The arts will always...
Maybe at some point.
Did you?
I never got it, but yeah.
You never got it and you never needed it. The cream will rise to the top. And
That's very sweet of
artists
you.
cannot be suppressed.
So there was a point you made that it's important to me. You talked about learning your craft, and I was talking about playing covers. I'm talking about in 1958, 59, the Ventures, the Wailers, believe it or not, a band from Seattle or the Northwest. Dwayne Eddy was a big influence. These are all instrumental people. And learning that. And then, of course, I was paying attention to songs with words, obviously. By the way, when I was a little kid, about 3.5, one day my mom brought me home from nursery school and sat me down, gave me one of those little yellow kid records, And she explained to me, well, first she played it. And one side was Oh Susanna, the other side was Camptown Races, right?
Wow.
I'm 3.5. And she explained to me that Stephen Foster wrote both of those songs. Now, I'm a little kid. I might have thought that I'm hearing Stephen Foster on this record. Why wouldn't I think that? But the important part was my mom had explained to me there's a songwriter that created those two songs, and his name is Stephen Foster.
I can hear Camptown Races in some of your stuff.
Do you know
better-
that I still, when I'm
Midnight-
wandering around the house, right? The dog is over there, needs to be fed. Hey, come on, Creedy, come on. You know, I'm doing a
Let
little
the
ripping.
midnight special
Right. Well,
shine the light on me.
that was
Let the
another
midnight
influence from my mom,
special
by the way.
Shine the ever, right? I mean,
Yep,
that's not
sure.
that. It's just updated and bettered.
Well, I think what I was trying to get to is she planted the seed about the songwriter.
Right.
And I started paying attention to people like that. She loved Hoagie Carmichael, so I ended
Right.
up loving Hoagie Carmichael for sure. And began trying to write songs that very early, you know. I can actually specifically remember one when I was 8 years old, because the guy, it was the rhythm and blues radio station before school, and there was some commercial about, and they used to read these things. They weren't big produced things. And the guy was saying, "Do you have the wash day blues? Well, you should try," and I'm sure it was some detergent for washing
Right.
your clothes, right? But what stuck in my head was Wash Day Blues, because I love blues. I was listening to the blues station, right?
Right.
All the way to school, I was trying to write a song about Wash Day Blues. And of course, blues, and right around then is Muddy Waters. I didn't know his name then. Willie Dixon was a songwriter, but the riff was dun 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 dun. You go dun 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 dun. I got the Watch Day Blues. Dun 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 dun. Somebody help me, help me. You know, that sort of thing. I did that all. I was, in other words, writing a song,
Right.
and I did that forever. I kept doing that, and I mean, I wrote a lot of really bad songs all the way through the rest of grammar school,
And I told a
junior
lot
high,
of, and
high
I,
school.
and I told a lot of bad jokes. That's how you get where you're going.
Yes,
You know, you got to be bad before you're good.
right. That's right. And you got to try. You can't
Yes.
just go,
No.
someday I'm going to write great
Right.
songs. No,
And
you
it's
got to
so
be doing it.
And it's so satisfying when you put in those dues and you go through all that pain, and then you get to the place where, oh, now they are good. I know they're good, and the audience knows they're good. I mean, that's jokes and songs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's nothing I love more than my job, my real job at Real Time on HBO. I love like delivering for the audience. Like,
Yeah.
I know what you expect me to do, and I'm going to do it for you and fulfill your expectations. And, you know, same thing in music. You fulfill their expectations. You rise to the occasion. You give them what they want. Because if you don't, somebody else will.
Tell me if this is true or not. It certainly is for me most of the time. When I work, I mean, I'm talking about nowadays. I've had the process happen quite a few times, and I understand the process. I've experienced the process, and therefore I know when. I'm talking about one that's good, by the way.
Right.
Okay, so you get to a point, you put in the work. You've probably written a lot of garbage first. Then finally you have, and you know it. You know it before you even go there. The audience is your vindication,
Right.
right?
Right.
They react. I mean, you're laying it out there.
But-
Your pants are down, so to speak, and you're not really sure.
You must have.
But when they come back at you like that is good, that's okay.
But you must
Okay, I
have had
believe
one or two that you thought were great and they didn't.
Oh, have I done that?
I'm asking.
Hmm?
I'm asking if you ever had one where you thought, oh, this is great, and the audience just went no. Because I'm thinking of like,
Yeah.
you remember
Well,
the,
I don't know that the song had a chance, but I know there's a song I wrote called Mystic Highway that was on an album
Yeah, there are lost songs that are great.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I bet you it is. I mean, I make a
And I get requests for it, but that gets into the, what do you call it, the homogenation of all the numbers.
I
Well,
make
there's a few
I-
people and
I make a hobby of collecting those songs. People are always saying to me, like, "Wow, you have the best playlist. Where'd you get that song?" I'm like, "I listen to all the stuff, and people miss this one, but there it is."
That's
Like,
one that I
but
felt like it
the
slipped into the cracks or
the
something.
Rascals, who were ascendant at the same time as you,
A little ahead. Yeah.
yeah, a little ahead, but also like
At the same time, People Gotta Be Free.
People
was,
got
yeah.
Gotta Be Free was a huge hit
Yep.
in like that era. Okay, and then the last two, I bet you they thought were great, and I still think are great, but the audience never liked. They put out a single called Heaven.
Oh,
You remember that?
I don't.
See?
No, I don't.
Exactly.
I just
'Cause it
know
never-
that there are bands. I
Right.
did it too. Yeah.
What?
You reach that end or whatever, and then in the cliff, and they just, for some reason,
It
that's
just-
that.
Sometimes it's just like musically, it's better. It's like more sophisticated, but the audience is left behind. I mean, artists have done that for me. Like, you left me behind. I'm sure it's great, and I'm sure you and your musician friends think it's groundbreaking, but I don't give a shit. I'm just the young man in the 22nd row.
You've said it perfectly.
Yeah, I'm just the audience, and you can be somewhat ahead. I like that. I like something I've never heard before, quite, but you can't leave me that far behind.
That's absolutely the truth.
And that happens to a lot of musicians. They get too into their own heads.
Oh, I think it happens to every human being.
Yeah, in a way.
And especially musicians. The point, there's a thing, look, I've been my own worst victim of this. When you're doing something, and instead of you just resonating with your own likes and dislikes, your own filter, your own value system, you're going along, so-and-so is going to think this is really great. And that rock critic over there is going to, or Betty Lou is going to, whatever. You're doing something, and it's for cockeyed reasons that you're doing it.
Right.
And you end up with this thing that it seems like all the buttons are pushed in the right place, but it wasn't really you.
You got to please yourself.
And what normally happens to
Right.
that stuff is exactly what you just described. The band hits that wall. It's like, what do they do? Why'd they do that? What's with the trombones in the middle of the violin solo?
Exactly. Yeah. Did you ever see the hysterically funny movie that Judd Apatow did called Walk Hard? No, it's so funny. You got to watch that one. You'll love this. You get your girl tonight, dial up Walk Hard. You'll laugh your ass off. It's like, remember they did a bio of Johnny Cash
Yeah.
called Walk Tall, I think, or whatever. What was his catchphrase?
I walk the line.
I walk the line.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like, it's kind of like doing a parody of that. But
Okay.
it's like the musical history. And when they get to the 60s, like, the guy who has been a big star, and he just goes off on this thing where he wants tribesmen coming in, hitting a gong, and all this
God,
crazy.
this all sounds so familiar.
Really? And you had that kind of syndrome
No,
around
but
you?
I've seen it.
Yes, you've seen
in
it.
bands that you loved even, where
Right.
it's suddenly, oh, no.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. And sometimes it's just because they probably run out of material or they fight.
You-
I always quote that Timothy B. Schmidt in the Eagle special when he says, I have never known a rock band that wasn't always breaking up at every moment.
Yeah.
And I have never been in a rock band, but, I know what they fight about. You didn't like my song and you took that girl,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I mean, your brother, didn't you fight with your brother horribly? Like all rock bands where there's brothers, they
it
fight.
didn't- it
The
didn't-
Oasis dudes.
It was that way. It was internal.
What?
It was internal.
What does that
I
mean?
mean, well, I didn't. How can I say? It's been such a long, hard thing to understand, especially because Tom passed away, and as an adult, I reached a point. I want to say this part first. I reached a point where I finally, as best I could, understood his emotions or his very human and understandable desires, I guess you'd say, right?
And jealousies. I mean, come on.
But see, boom.
You can't, I mean,
When it was all, when the 1970, 69, 70, when Creedence started to really get tense, and yet we were on top of the world. I mean, that's what the song "Have You Ever Seen the Rain" is all about.
Really?
It's the brightest blue, wonderful day that we all dreamed about, and it's fucking raining. What are you guys so unhappy about? And I never knew.
oh, that's interesting.
And
I never knew that.
Tom got really quiet, instead of being the normal, he was really quiet, but there'd be these, little jabs every now and verbal stuff, right? And then the band broke up. And I the whole time, to follow Timothy B. Schmidt's phrase, it was the last year of it, or year and a half, was
Eggshells.
and I couldn't I
Just
think,
like
what is this?
Just like in a relationship. When you're walking on eggshells,
Yep.
it's just the worst fucking place to be outside of a Hanoi prison camp in 1979. 69. It's just, I've been there. Whatever kind of relationship it is, when you know whatever you say, you have to be like a White House press spokesman.
Yeah.
Everything you say has to be so lawyered so that it doesn't offend. It's just it's like, who can live like that? And I'm sure that's what it is in a band.
Well,
It's because it is
and
a
so all
relationship.
those years later, that's 1970, 72-ish, and it still goes on. Because I still see Tom now and then, family stuff and all that. Then I meet Julie. That's 86. Somewhere around 90 or 89 or 90 or 91, I'm talking with, we're driving in the car. We kind of know each other pretty well. We've been together 2, 3, or 4 years, something like, it's really easy and delightful and stuff. And probably another time I'm telling one of those stories, and she goes, she says, well, they're jealous. I went, what?
It's so
They're jealous.
It's so obvious.
But I didn't know that word, and I didn't know I didn't understand any of that. I just wondered, what the hell? Proud Mary's been #1 for 72 weeks. Why are you mad?
Because I'll tell you why. Because, and you may fight about a million things, but people don't fight about what they're really fighting about. What they're really fighting about is, God gave you the talent, and I'm your brother, and why wasn't it even? Why didn't I get half of it? Why did you get all of it? You think it's easy being this guy?
You sound
Everybody
like the Smothers
knows.
Brothers.
What?
You sound like the Smothers Brothers.
Same. Well, it's similar.
They made a stick out of it.
But certainly, definitely in groups and.
But you see, the
why
point there is, I wasn't jealous. I didn't know there was a problem.
You shouldn't be jealous. You have the talent. The person who has the talent is not the jealous one. It's the person who wants the talent who doesn't have it. Not that he wasn't talented.
I think that's the point.
But it was obvious from the beginning, like it is with so many bands. I mean, is it, was Justin Timberlake ever not going to go out on his own? No. Okay, it's just obvious. There's one person with the talent, and there's 3 other people. There are exceptions. I mean, the Stones are the team and the Beatles, blah, blah, blah. But in a lot of bands, it's just one guy, and as nice and as talented as the other 3 or 4 are, you could get along with 3 or 4 other people. One person is doing all the work here. Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, why did they break up? I think there's a documentary on it right now, and there's just something very uneven that was in that relationship that was always going to explode. It was just always going to explode because it's not a situation that lends itself to stasis.
Yeah.
It's explosive when it's uneven like that.
The thing is, I think if a person is, let's say, has less understanding or less talent for doing that thing, then they probably should figure out how to do something else. I'm talking about still music, still a song, but figure out another way that isn't directly
There is no other way. There's no-
competitive with that thing.
Well, there is nothing else is as competitive as being able to write 25 great hits. Okay, that is sui generis. No, there's what else is he going to do? Write songs and then paint them? No. I mean, you either are.
I didn't mean it quite like that.
You either are or you ain't. You know, and if you're the ain't, it's not good, and it's just always eating away on you in the inside, and you're fighting over a million things, like you took that girl, and you ate the last Oreo, and you did this, and you did that, but that's always what it is. Mom liked you best. That was the Smothers Brothers catch bit. Mom always liked you best.
Right.
And, you know, ironically, it was twisted around because Tom was the one who really ran the show. He was anyway. Look, I could talk to you all night. I'm so glad I met you. I got to go back to my day job, but man, you know, I just got to say before we end this, you have given me so much pleasure. That the thing about music, it never gets old. The songs you listen to for so many years, including all the stuff you did as a solo artist, such pleasure you have given me, and I just have to say thank you because, you know, I mean,
I enjoyed this. I want to hear your iPod.
We got to do it.
Yeah.
You live still in California?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just down 101, a couple of blocks. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Enjoyed this very much.
All right.
Club Random.
Thank you, sir.
That was so much fun.
That was cool.
I can't believe I got to meet
Yeah.
one of my musical heroes.
Club Random.